Hi everyone, it's Jackie from Dunnock Studio, and today we're going to have a little sketching session. I'm looking towards doing some paintings of eggs, and here are my local eggs. We have half a dozen of beautiful free-range eggs from a farm that is about 2 miles away from where I live, so they haven't travelled very far. And these are the eggs we use every day in our kitchen. So to start with, we're going to do a sketch of an egg. And for those of you who are interested in drawing, this could be helpful. And the second part of this video, on the second video, will be painting the eggs. So if you're interested in watercolours and you want to try an egg painting, then highly recommend you watch the next one as well. And if you're already quite good at drawing, you won't need to watch this one. So an egg is actually a really good exercise in drawing. So if you can actually get them to sit still, but they're very difficult, aren't they? You get this lovely shape, and trying to get that onto a flat piece of paper is quite interesting, but let's give it a go. So I wish to draw this egg as if it's on the page and I'm looking straight down at it. So that's not always a very easy thing to do with an egg that rolls everywhere. So what I've done is put a bottle top down and slanted the egg so that I've got my perfect top-down view of it. So how would you go about drawing something as relatively simple as an egg? Well, you can do what we did before with the circle. You can feel your way around the shape. Also, don't worry about the colour of the egg if you're going to go on and paint it later. Just worry about the shape. We're going to try and create this round shape. So if I'm looking for shapes in here, I can see that the main part of this egg has got a round, almost like a belly to it. So as before, just very softly feeling around that shape, looking as close as I can to this egg. But what happens on the bottom of this round area, it goes ever so slightly further down. And like we did with the circle before with straight lines, is you're feeling your way round this with lots of pencil lines, just softly putting down lines until they feel right. So my circle has sort of shifted over here a little bit. Now I've got the base of the egg where I want it. Realistically, it needs to come back in a bit because this is the edge of my paper, although I'm probably going to make these into art trading cards and not a painting to frame as such. So I'm still feeling it as I go round. So I'm now going to stop using this circular motion here, and all I'm doing is glancing at the egg occasionally to get a feel for where those lines are. Now, you're never going to get it exactly the same as that egg in front of you, but we're aiming for a feel of something that looks like an egg. So there we go. Beginning to come together, isn't it? Now, as I find that shape, I start to make my marks a little stronger, more defined. And essentially we are drawing in the background really to give the impression of an egg in the middle. So I felt my way around the shape. Of course, if you've never done this before, this could be really difficult. But if you have access to eggs and you eat eggs, drawing eggs is a really useful exercise, and they're all slightly different. So when I feel like I've got the right shape, I could rub all of this detail out in the middle. So for those of you who are tidy and you prefer to do that, let me just remove those lines. I wouldn't normally bother, but it will help you see the shape better. So now I'm looking at it again and thinking, well, actually the top needs to be slightly narrower. So I'm bringing it in. So by bringing in those lines from the side and almost introducing the background this way, I'm slightly narrowing this end of the egg. It's nice and round here, and it's just coming in a little bit more here. This is why you don't want your pencil lines to be too strong at the beginning. I am showing you them much stronger than normal because otherwise you wouldn't see very much. So there we're going. That's quite a nice egg shape. I'm almost completely happy with that. So because this one is a drawing video, how would we make this egg look more realistic? Well, because of the video lighting, I've got 2 light sources. Actually, I take that back. I've got 3 light sources. I've got the sun is coming from behind me here, and although I've blocked it out of one blind, I hate blocking the sun out in the late winter of the UK. I like the sun, so I'm leaving it in the background. I've got a light over here for video purposes, and you can see the highlight there. I've also got a light coming from this side, so you can see what I'm drawing down here. So if I was just going to focus on the egg in front of me, I would actually have 2 highlights, and that could be very confusing. So I use my artistic license and decide which side of my egg I wish to be lighter and which side I wish to be darker. Using the egg as a reference, but not relying on it too much, I can start to hatch in some slightly darker tones. So we're hatching one way, and then we cross hatch. This is just one way you can create marks and give the impression that something that you're drawing that's flat on the page is actually a little bit more than that. I'm using a 3B pencil, just a normal drawing pencil, nothing exciting or expensive. Please use whatever you have. If you have an HB or any of the H pencils, you will find it harder to make the shadows. The softer the pencils into the B's, the higher the B number, this is a 3B, the darker you can get these marks. I'm still keeping this quite light. So you can see I'm starting to develop the egg, and although this side is theoretically facing the light, there's still some shading to do because it's an egg, it's not brilliant white. There were some white eggs before this one, but they're not half so nice to look at, so we've gone to the brown ones today. So I'm just coming around here. Now I'm using cross hatching and hatching because it's quite a nice way to try and build the model of an egg. So when you're building a shape like this, try and think of the way that the actual form would be. So you're following the form, and I'm looking straight down on this egg. So the bottom of the shape is sort of going away from me as I come to the middle, going straight across. And then sweeping down. This is all an illusion, complete illusion. And that here I start to go in a curve that way. I'm suggesting the egg shape. But this is my highlight, so I'm going to avoid that area. Do you get the idea? So I'm curving around the edges of the egg here, so that cross hatching, sorry, hatching, we're not crossing over just yet. And then down this way, following the form as I think it is. I'm not exactly sure how this is in real life. I'm just drawing it, feeling my way. Some of you might like to smudge it. You can use your eraser for smudging. If you're very light with it, you can use stumps which are just rolled up paper pieces that look like pencils. You can use your finger, you can soften it any way you like. The softer your pencil, the easier it is to do this. So let's soften all of that in with a finger. And you can see the paper just showing through there. There we go. And then because I'm erasing, I could use the normal eraser, or I could cheat and use a battery powered one. And I get mine from Bromley's Art, which is linked in the description. Be warned though, if you take these to an art group, everybody gives you funny looks. They're really good for highlights, and especially if you're doing very small highlights. So there we go, we've got a nice shape there. I've pushed my finger into all that pencil work, so now it's all quite soft all the way over. So I'm going to go back in, putting a little bit more pressure on to redefine the shadow area. And after a while I've stopped looking at the egg itself and just working to the drawing, because the drawing is telling me what it needs. And the more you practice, the more you'll understand what that means. Is you know what needs doing, the reference is useful, but after a while you are creating a drawing of something. So it's up to you how you take it. Now I've slightly got my marks wrong there, so let's bigger gestural marks like that. There we go. Bring out my highlight again. So much fun. So when I've got to the point I'm quite happy with all the shading, is I'm going to go back round, redefine my mark around the outside. You might like your pencil to be sharp. For some reason, I don't. I like a blunt pencil. I just feel it gives a nice rougher mark. If you like really accurate lines, please do sharpen your pencil. So like so, there we go. I'm being a little bit more definite where that line is. So for the lines on the top that I don't want, especially on this highlight side, I can take them out. Being careful not to completely remove my original painting. I've got to be careful not to remove all of my pencil lines that I've carefully worked. Just reinstate where I slightly went over. And then where I want the egg to sit down a little bit more, as if there's a shadow behind it, I'm just going to strengthen this line quite a bit more. So I'm being really strong with my pencil now, really pushing into the paper. I've only got a 3B, so I'm only going to get so much in the way of dark. In a way, this is quite an accurate drawing, but you can use more looser style. You could use charcoal, soft pastels even, and just be a bit looser than I'm being. But if you want to try and practice on getting that shape, an egg is quite a nice place to start. So the light's over here, so therefore I'm creating a small shadow, because I don't want it to be too much about the shadow. I want it to be more about the egg. So my light's here, so my shadow is going to be here or thereabouts. Please don't worry too much about where the light is, just think about roughly where it is. And then taking that line round. And for all of you out there who are really wishing I would sharpen my pencil, here we go. And egg boxes are great, by the way, if you don't already know this trick. Not only are they a perfect bin for things like that, but when you're painting later on and you want to put your brush down, pop your brush on there, anything drips off your brush, it hits there. and it stops it rolling off the table. So now I have a beautifully sharp pencil, and this is where they generally break, don't they? So I'm just redefining my line. If you get your first egg into a reasonable shape, you should be very proud, because it's one of those shapes, because it is so simple, it's so easy to get it wrong. There we go. So I could leave it there. I feel like that feels like I could almost pick it up, but this egg is very simple. It has some tiny specks on it, so I could use what we call a stippling effect. If I just zoom in for you slightly, you can see I've got texture of this watercolour paper here, which has given me a nice effect anyway. But I can just add some more marks to suggest that this egg has ever such a slight fleck to it. But I can also make it up, so this egg could have some much bigger little spots all over it, because this egg can be anything I want it to be. So again, you could pop some dots and things on. Just to remember, if you're going to do big dots in the middle here, as you go around the side, they're going to get slightly smaller, because they're going away from you around the side of the egg there. So they're a little bit more regimented than I wish they would be. So try and loosen up a little bit, dot around just a little bit more. There we go. So this is my made up egg now. It's not a real egg at all. I could perhaps even go for another layer with my lovely sharp pencil. I must have heard some of you saying, sharpen your pencil, Jackie. So thank you for that, because yes, it looks a bit better, doesn't it? You can see it. Cross hatching and stippling. There you go. You can go mad, do as much or as little as you like. Essentially, there we have it. One egg that in no way I try and match the size, but the camera angle is showing that as quite a good match actually, which from where I'm sitting it isn't. The camera's probably stretching it slightly. So just bringing that around there. Do whatever you need to do, and then at some point just say, I'm done. Put away your real egg very carefully. Zoom out and have a look and think, yep, I could pick that egg up and take it away. And that is how you draw an egg. Why don't you give it a go? I hope you enjoyed that. Happy drawing. If you wish to continue on the egg theme and you have some watercolours, then please watch the next video that will be uploaded soon, so you can do just that. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.